Hello everyone, welcome to a very blurry video. Oh my gosh, can this just focus for 5 seconds? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry about this, but this is supposed to focus. There we go. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'll be talking about my predictions for Monster Hunter 6, and let's go with the obvious, which is combat. I feel like the combat will be a bit more mixed. Obviously, I don't think we're gonna get the wire bugs. I don't think so. I'm just gonna say no wire bugs. Remember, this is predictions, so yeah, no wire bugs. We're not gonna have any wire bugs. You might have something adjacent to that as an endemic life. You might have some kind of, adjacent endemic life to the wire bugs, but I don't think we're gonna have specifically the wire bugs. Who knows? You might get the great wire bug, and they are not uh, actual bugs you can keep with yourself, so that counts as endemic life. We could get something else like that, something close, very close, but we won't get the exact wire bug. So there we go. So when it comes to combat, I feel like we will have some of these switch skill stuff, but it might be called something else. But for now, I'm just gonna call it switch skill, switch swap, switch skills, whatever you want to call it. Basically, switch swap or switch skill, whatever you call it. Let me just check what you call it. I have not checked it in such a long time because I haven't really switched anything. Switch skills. Okay, switch skills. They might call it something else instead of switch skills because I don't know. It might be something different altogether. It's a different concept. It won't revolve around wire bugs. You'll just be able to uh, switch certain combat stuff altogether. You might be able to do that. I don't know if you'll be able to change it only on your item box, or will you have something like Sunbreak where you can switch. You can set it up on your item box and switch it during missions. Uh, I don't know how they'll use it, but just remember something. Monster Hunter World Iceborne had a riding mechanic. It was not the best thing I ever liked of Iceborne. It was the least things I liked because I never really liked the riding mechanic in Iceborne, you know? But in Rise, they just gave us complete control over what we ride, which is amazing. Even though we can't ride all the other animals and monsters, who cares? I can ride a freaking Palamute. And speaking of that, we are gonna get Palamutes. It seems to be certain that we will get a Palamute. We will get Palamutes. Now, how will they be? I don't know. Will it be like you have different classes of them? Will it be like different element versions? I don't really know if they'll go in detail or if you'll have something very simple like Rise. They could go with either the two. Something very, very basically like classes. You have like different classes of them, or you have like the Rise, just no elements whatsoever. You know, they either go with stories 2 or they go with Rise. Nonetheless, I'm happy for both of them. We're obviously going to get our Palicos, so don't worry about that. I hope so. I hope they don't ditch the cats altogether, you know? Uh, moving on. Moving on. I really like how neat this spider diagram is. This is the neatest spider diagram I've ever drawn in my life. Don't worry, it will get very untidy. So, I feel like those things are going to be pretty much there. Palamutes, Palicos, okay. But what about, what about areas? Now, here's something that uh, I'm just going to say. We are going to get our checkbox areas. What do I mean by checkbox? When I mean checkbox, I mean you get your basic desert, you get your basic uh, forest or whatever green environment you want to call it. You are going to get your basic uh, your basic, what else, your ice environment. You're going to get those basic environments, basically checkboxes I like to call them because they specifically fit a checkbox. Then you're also going to get your completely rare environments. That might be something similar like the Coral Highlands, but something not like the Coral Highlands or the or the Rotten Vale. Those were very rare environments, but I feel like the Rotten Vale kind of substituted for this swamp checkbox. But overall, uh, I feel like we might get at least one rare environment that does not really compute with any of the checkboxes. So we are going to get around 5 to 6. I'm gonna say 5 environments to hunt monsters and 2 arenas. One arena to train and you know to to train, do all your type of training stuff. Another one. Wait, no. You might get three and you might get three uh, arenas. So you get a training one for your training. Of course, you might get some kind of mechanical robot like from Rise because I feel like that one was really good. So you might get a monster from Monster Hunter 6 that will be I'm mixing up my words. We are going to get some kind of possibly robots, mechanical little robot thing like Rise. The only difference is it'll be based on a different monster from 6, possibly. I don't know if you're getting Tetranodon again. I don't know. I really don't know, so I feel like they'll find a monster that has a more diverse move set like Tetranodon, to test your skills, to base the robot out of. There we go, that makes more sense. You have your training environment, you have your final boss. This is where you fight your final monster, the end game monster. What else? You also get your arena where you take on challenges, your basic arena. That's it. I know in Monster Hunter World they gave us 2 arenas. One where we fought our captured monsters and the other was just for challenges. I don't know if you'll get the same again, but I feel like one is just enough for both. That's just my opinion. And speaking of the environments, speaking of the environments, I feel like when it comes to hunting, you will get more environmental traps. This is something I really like from World. They did implement this in the jungle for Sunbreak, which is awesome. Basically, uh, you have your pitfall traps. You have certain things to shoot down. It might fall, something to trigger. So basically, environmental traps. And there will be multiple types of them throughout different environments. So it's going to be cool. That's what I really liked about the world because it really felt like you could use the environments as well, and I really liked the theme behind world was basically using the world against the monster. Some monsters would use their own background against you, like Radoban. Would use would use certain environments to roll around you, but sometimes you could have an advantage over that. So nonetheless, we are going to get a lot more environmental traps. I feel like they are very awesome to have. Um, I feel like the reason why we never got any of them in Rise, was because Rise was made by a separate team. But not only that, but also Rise was being developed before World was even uh, released. Basically, 2017. World was basically practically announced 2017. So Rise was being done in the background, and Rise, from what I've heard, Rise is supposed to be an old school game. So I feel like uh, Sunbreak got a lot of inspiration from World. Anyways, moving on. Moving on. I feel like this game is going to be a lot closer to World, but it will have some good aspects from Rise, like the changing different moveset, the Palamutes, and it might base some of the environments close to Rise. Because if you play any mission on Rise, you know that certain environments are extended, mostly because you can ride your Palamutes. You know they want you to ride your Palamutes. That's why some environments have long pathways, because they want you to kind of ride uh, ride your little Palamutes. Also, um, I really enjoy it. So if they're going to introduce Palamutes, I hope the environments are somewhat longer, certain sections somewhat longer so I can ride them because it's kind of fun to ride them. Nonetheless, will the environments? Here's another thought. Will the environments um, be seamless? Will they be stuck together, meshed together? So, in other words, what I'm trying to convey, let's just say you have, let's just say you have your basic 5 environments. Let's just say that. And will it slowly transition from green to like desert or volcano? Will it all be together as one? Will it all be together as one, like a big open world, like a massive open world? That would be interesting, but I feel like I rather have the separate environments. But I feel like it's okay to be open minded when it comes to something like this. You don't really know what they're gonna do and how they can turn it into something special. In my mind, I might not agree with it, but if Capcom implements it, it might be pretty good. You know what I'm trying to say? So I don't really know if if my mind is gonna say a different story. Am I making sense? Because I know for a fact that it sounds scary on pen and paper, but I feel like Capcom can implement something, to make all of the environments feel very close together in some way, and it can be a really big open environment. But I don't think they'll go through that. I feel like they'll go through the very traditional style of having separate environments. Um, Nonetheless, I really hope this time the environments have more endemic life and more useful endemic life from Rise. I feel like one thing a world can learn from Rise basically basically the endemic life. More useful. In Rise, 90% of the endemic life pretty useful. Okay, pretty useful. Um, and compared to World, like most of them were not really useful. Most of them were just like background animals, not really a bad thing, but overall it was just like, yeah, you don't really care about it. I feel like I feel like they kind of substituted some of those endemic life just to be like just to make the environments more lifelike. But unfortunately, some environments in World and Iceborne felt very, very, very empty at times. Um, and I feel like the endemic life was mostly there to kind of add on to that, but they never really do anything special compared to Rise. So I want them to be more lifelike in Monster Hunter 6 because I feel like they can do a lot more than just be background animals. They can actually be helpful. Like I remember the Revulsions from World, even though they had not much usage, they would always follow the big monster. So anytime you saw them from the from far and beyond, you see them swarming up. They are following a large monster. That's what they're doing. So that was pretty useful. But then you have those rabbits who were not really that useful to begin with. So yeah, I feel like some of them could have been even useful, but unfortunately they weren't. So I feel like they should be more useful in Monster Hunter 6, and I want them to be capturable, if that's a word. I want to capture them, okay? I want to have pets in my little house, you know? One thing I don't like about Rise is the fact that you can't really capture the endemic life and keep them as pets. So I hope Monster Hunter 6 has both elements, the capturing elements and the uh, and the useful elements from Rise. Okay, speaking of capture, you can't really have a net in Rise. I don't think you have a net at all in Rise or Sunbreak. Uh, there's no nets whatsoever, and that's kind of a big problem, you know? Kind of a big problem because World had a really cool net, a unlimited net. So that was really cool. Um, So taking it out completely, I hope they bring it back. And speaking of bringing things back, I really, really hope they have tracking. This is something I feel like they might have. I don't know if you have the scout flies, but I feel like the scout flies will be pretty useful. And I think it should be the norm for Monster Hunter games, or at least the mainline series. I hope it is useful, you know? for the mainline series, because I don't really think of anything. I can't think of any other way for them to track the monsters. I feel like this should be the norm, even though not everyone's fine with it. I feel like it's kind of fun. It adds a bit more hunting element. World was a really good hunting simulator because of it, so I feel like they should implement it in Monster Hunter 6 or some kind of variant of that. But I want some kind of fly to track it down. I think that was very useful. Um, anyways, um, I feel like that's about it. Maybe I'll make a second video. I'm sorry if this is all over the place. I'm so sorry, because obviously this is just coming from the heart, so this is not a prepared video. If this was, then I would have done a lot better. So I do apologize for my voice. It's breaking a lot. I haven't really warmed up my voice so much before this recording. That's why the voice pitch is going high and low. I'm sorry. So to recap, you know, I don't think we're gonna get wire bugs, or at least the ones we keep with our hunters. What is this? I can't even read my own writing. Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassing. um, I feel like we are going to get some kind of switch skill type of thing where you can change the movement of our weapons. I feel like we are going to get palamutes, but the question is whether they will be inspired from Rise, just very simple, no element, or will they have elements? Um, so, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know about that, but we are going to get palamutes. I have this big hunch. We're going to get palamutes. When it comes to the environments, we're going to get 5 environments. We're also going to get arenas, your training arena, your regular arena for, challenges. You're also going to get your final arena where you fight the final end game boss. Then you might get a lot more environmental traps. I think we are going to get a lot more endemic life, and I feel like this time they might be a bit more useful. So yeah, I'm hoping they are more useful than World, but I also hope they can be captured. So I feel like, yes, endemic life is the norm, it's part of the game. So yeah, we are going to get more endemic life, but it's just the matter of whether they are more useful or not. Um, and scout flies, I hope they are returning, because I feel like they really help out the game with its hunting simulator. I feel like they might return. It's just a small prediction. They might return. Anyways, tell me your thoughts. Do you feel like this is a good prediction list? Anyways, I have to go. Sorry for a really long video, but these type of videos, you have to at least have a long discussion. Bye.